Hi, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. You know, with so many comments that we get, questions asking about relationships and communication, well, everything to do with the exchange between man and a woman and a man. And I was thinking back to a book that I read many years ago, which helped me a great deal because it was so matter of fact, and it was based on the experiences of the writer who had been a counselor to many people in troubled relationships and also in the aftermath of troubled relationships, what I call the walking wounded. And this lady is Barbara DeAngelis, and the book that I'm talking about is Are You the One for Me? And in this, she goes over all of the different scenarios that she has experienced as a counselor, listening to people tell of their problems. And she developed a particular technique which I found very interesting, and that was she would get the person to go over what she called the movie of their life. And this would usually relate exactly or specifically to whatever the person was trying to get, whatever relationship that is, or breakup. So how does she do that? The movie of your life. Let's call the person Doris. So the movie of Doris's life. How did it go? Now, one of the things what led her to develop this technique, I'm assuming, was that so many people who've come out of a broken relationship, what some people call the dumpee, there's the dumper, the one who dumps, and there's the dumpee, the one who's been dumped, okay? So I'm laughing about that, not because I think it's funny, but because I think we've all been through that, both sides. So what was it that prompted her? It was the statement that the person who had been dumped was completely surprised at what happened. I never saw it coming. Well, what she thought up was, why don't we sit down and why don't you visualize on that wall the movie of the life of Doris. So she would sit Doris down, whoever the Doris was, and Doris would go through the movie. And one particular one that I remember that she said was a lady that had been dumped and was just totally, I was so shocked. It just came out of the blue, you know. Play the movie from the beginning of the relationship. So, the woman met the man, this gorgeous hunk of a man, of course, at a party. And what happened was, the party, she saw the man, she was instantly attracted to him. You know that chemistry, not exactly falling in love on the spot or at first sight, but certainly a great attraction to this man. And she hoped that he would come over and talk to her. And they sort of exchanged glances which showed some interest and some chemistry. So, of course, eventually the man came over. She had put out the right signals and he was attractive and encouraged, and he came over to chat to her. Now, what was the first thing that our Doris noticed that she felt that she should tell Barbara DeAngelis? Well, when I first saw him, he was with this very attractive woman, and I thought that they were together. But then gradually I saw him talking to other people, and then he was obviously interested in me, so I thought maybe they're not together. So that was the first sign that she ignored. Here's the basis of this little technique. You go through the movie of your life. We'll call you Doris or Henry. And what you do is you note the first signals that you saw were a little bit off or a little bit strange, and you kind of mark them up. Oh, well, that was a signal. So now we're at the point where the man is talking to Doris, and Doris is very enamored with him. He's a very attractive, obviously an accomplished man, who is quite talented and articulate and intellectual and all the things that she just loved, and she was captivated. So she ignored the first sign, because when she mentioned it to the man, well, aren't you with that very attractive lady there? No, he said. Well, actually, I've just brought her along because she didn't have anyone to come with. Actually, she is my ex, but we're still good friends. So we just came along. I don't have to come on my own, and neither does she. And she can do whatever she wants, and so can I. But she is my ex. It's over now. But I'm just trying to help her out. So that was the second thing that she should have taken notice of. So the first was seeing him with somebody else. The second was in what he said was a little bit in doubt. And then they move on. The man eventually takes her phone number, and he explains, well, I would love to take you home, give you a ride home, but in fact, my friend is really feeling a lot down. You know, she recently had an experience with another guy, and it didn't work well, and I'm really just worried about her, so I'm going to take her home. But I'll give you a call, and we must get together. I'm really attracted to you. So off they go, their different ways, and a couple of days later the man calls her and charms her on the phone, and she agrees to meet him. And I'll cut to the chase on this, okay? Eventually they get together, and when they finally agree that they're going to have a night together, then they agree that she will go to his place. So she arrives at his place, which is a very nice apartment, and eventually they make it to the bedroom. Right? Well, I won't go all X-rated here, but what she first noticed was that there was a photograph by the side of the bed of, guess who? That very attractive lady. So she didn't say anything about that. Why didn't you say anything at that point? Asks the author. And she says, well, it was the first night that we were going to make love, and I didn't want to spoil everything. There's the next big indicator that something was not quite right. So as time went by and she enjoyed a nice relationship with this man, but it was occasionally marred by the arrival or the departure or the existence of this very attractive lady who he was always so concerned about. And then they were supposed to spend an important evening together, and when they had just started out on their first champagne, he got a phone call, looked very worried, and he said, look, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to go because my friend is absolutely devastated. I think she's going to kill herself, you know. I just have to get over there. Look, I'll call you a little bit later and try to get back. That was another indicator that she ignored. So you can see how this is going to end up, can't you? But when the woman or you are involved in a relationship that's important to you, you don't want to spoil everything, do you? By bringing up inconvenient little pointers like, who is that woman that you have a photograph of next to your bed? Now, wouldn't that mess up the harmony of that night of love that they were hoping to spend together, and in fact did, probably? Right, yes it would. So we don't want to give out with these difficult questions which the other person might be actually embarrassed to discuss. Or if they are discussed, they might be dismissed. Well, why are you focusing on this person? She's nothing to me. I told you, she's my ex. And very convincing stuff will be put over as the truth. Now, how do we know? Well, if we add up the pointers in our own particular movie, we'll find that they add up to a convincing case of a tap on the shoulder and, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you not thinking for a change? So, that's one of the things that was suggested as a technique for working out whether in fact you were surprised. Because at the end of this little movie, Doris said, actually, I always had this strange feeling that things weren't quite right, but I really liked him and I didn't want to spoil everything. Well, they got spoiled, of course. They got spoiled big time. It's called a breakup. Eventually, she was dumped. Now, guess why she got dumped? Because he went back to the woman that he never really left. Now, that's another reason why this is an important book to me, because it makes the distinction between what kind of baggage is okay and what kind of baggage is not okay. Now, if you are on the lookout for a good relationship and you're hoping to find someone with no baggage, well, good luck. I really wish you good luck, and I would like to hear from you if you find him or her, because nobody goes through life without collecting some baggage. It's how you deal with it that is important. So, let's say that you found somebody that you're really interested in. What do? Well, you do what a second-hand car dealer does. You qualify the person. Now, what does a second-hand car dealer have to do with dealings of the heart? Well, in this case, there's something that we have to learn from that second-hand car dealer. When a second-hand car dealer walks out and approaches a possible potential customer, he qualifies that customer. What's the first thing he asks him? Hi, how are you? So, what do you do for a living? Now, if the man says, well, I have a great job that I really enjoy, that's pretty well paid, and I just got a raise. Hey, come in, sir, you are qualified. If the man says, well, things aren't going so well at the moment, I just lost my job, but I thought a car might be a good idea, so I'm just looking around and seeing what I could possibly afford. Thank you, sir. You are not qualified, and I will spend limited amount of time with you. The other guy with the good job and the raise, you have my undivided attention. Now, if you qualify this man of your heart, this woman that has stolen your heart, what are you interested in doing? Well, if it's just a date and you think you're going to go out and have a night of fun and then end up in the sack, that's one thing. But if you're looking for a good full-time relationship that may possibly lead to finding someone who you can spend your life with, now that's another thing. So you qualify the person. Well, what kind of questions you ask of a person when you're interested in knowing if he is the one, if she is the one? What do you like to do with your spare time? I love football. How do you feel about football? I love gymnastics. How do you feel about gymnastics? I love the ballet. How do you feel about the ballet? I love pop music. I love classical music. I love adventure movies. I love action movies. I love romance. All of these questions you have to be able to settle within your own mind. Now, here's another point that Miss DeAngelis made, which really attracted me. She said, you have to like the way the person looks. Not, are they beautiful? Do you like the way they look? Do you like the way they smell? You see, this may seem like just impossible questions. I mean, you know, for a man, he's going to try to find out if the woman, how does the woman smell? Well, she may have the looks of an angel, but if she farts louder than a trombone player on steroids, it's probably not going to work. So, how does she smell? How does he smell? Does he seem like he bathed today? Or even this week? Satisfy yourself on that. Do you like the way that he walks? Do you like the way that she moves? Do you like the way she dresses? If you're a elegant cocktail dress kind of woman who likes to dress up and looks great in great clothes, and he's there in odd socks and sneakers and a t-shirt that has a tear in it, that may not be the one for you. So looks, they're important. Style, it's important. Right. Now, how do they look with their clothes off? Do you like how they look with their clothes off? Do you like how he looks with his clothes off? Does she have to wear a girdle to get her 40-inch waist down to 30? Does he look as if he ever works out, whereas you spend 4 days a week at the gym lifting weights or doing aerobics? Does he like to watch football while you like to play tennis? These are all important. Now, a good way to find out whether the person is good for you is, where did you meet them? Now, if you're a Christian woman who doesn't normally ever know the inside of a bar and doesn't know where the nearest bar is to you, but just once you went out with some friends from the office who said, hey, well, we know how. Now, you may indeed find a good woman who is on her path and deeply involved in her church. She goes to the bazaars, she goes to the fundraising, she tithes some of her money, and is friendly with all kinds of women's groups who like to do things associated with the Christian religion. How are you on that? Are you an atheist? Are you a non-believer? Do you think that the Bible is a total load of nice stories at best and a load of BS at worst? Then you probably might not easily interact with this woman, and she will soon find out that you're not going to be right for her. Now, all of these indicators can be met up front. I think it's in America where most of these apparently seemingly crazy or unlikely things are invented or brought about, are introduced. It's a 10-minute date. And that's when they get 50 of the females and 50 of the guys, put them together into a social kind of setting with lots of different tables, and they do the rounds. So your guy A meets girl B, and then doesn't like her, so a guy A meets girl C, meets girl D, meets girl G, until he finds out, wait a minute, Miss G, you are what I'm looking for. So how does that work? Well, because quick fire, they ask the questions that actually will lead them to say, this seems like it's worth pursuing. So although Miss DeAngelis doesn't particularly talk about this as I remember. This is the kind of thing that she says. Is the woman that you are sleeping with right now someone who you would like to mother your child? Is the man that you are sleeping with the kind of man that you want as a father for your child? And that's a very important question. And a few of my own tips are the old tip about, does the man that you are sitting with treat the waitress courteously, with respect? Does he give a reasonable tip, or does he skive off without leaving anything for someone who has given their attention to you in making your evening go well? So is he rude? Is he not? Well, that's something that you can easily see and be guided by, because one thing I've found is this: if you're with somebody that you haven't spent too much time with, and he treats somebody that is passing through both of your lives in that moment, and he treats them badly, she treats them badly, given the right or the wrong situation, they'll do the same to you. If you're with someone and they steal the tip that was left for the waitress, eventually, given the right or the wrong situation, they'll steal from you. So I have no hidden agenda for the work of Miss DeAngelis, other than I bought the book about 15 years ago, and I have actually found the principles that she expounded useful. She, as far as I know at that time, way back then, she used to hold seminars about relationships and do all kinds of interesting stuff. And she soon found a way to give people a routine or a method in which they could judge better if the person that they were with or planning to spend any time with was worth their time. And that was my object here, because one of the things that people talk to me about